Okay, for this 13 projects for Halloween, I did a peekaboo card following Jennifer McGuire's tutorial. I changed some of the dimensions so then I can get the 8-inch paper from the PaperStash to work, but I'll be honest, I struggle a little bit and did think I wouldn't share this, but in the end, we all have those projects that just seem to, give us a little bit of trouble, and if we just, keep pushing and move on, eventually, they can work out. So, yep, so always be yourself, unless you can be a zombie. Okay, so for this 13 projects of Halloween, I found another style card that I wanted to try out, which it's called a peekaboo card. So just like with the tunnel card, I'll link the video in case you want to watch that, but I did my template cards, and I also needed to alter the size that Jennifer McGuire had used, mainly because I wanted to use my PaperStash paper from the Tim Holtz Halloween collection. So I needed to just alter the size, so then, because she was calling for this to be an 8 1/4, but as you know, the PaperStash is 8 by 8. So what I did was, I've got this, this will be my front, so this will be this front piece, and then I also made them taller too, because I wanted in the end to be a square card, because the images I'm going to expose with the change in the peekaboo effect, I wanted a bigger, like closer to 2.5-inch circle. So not only did I change it to fit this, but I also heightened it also. I will make sure that I link the dimensions that I use. So I've got the shattered paper here, and this will just be on here and then framed out. Well, you'll see if my vision in my head right now if it happens. We know that that can always change, but what I wanted to do real quick is this is the back piece, and I just wanted to show you how you can, because I don't have one of those score doodads, so those scoreboards or whatever. So I'm just going to show how I score right here on the stamping platform, or excuse me, the guillotine. So this one's saying I need to score at 5.5, which is basically just this piece here, the back piece, which is a 1/4 inch tab that we're going to be attaching the front to the back, or the insert to the back with. But I just take and line this up. I know I need it to be a 1/4, so using just a score or something, I can push in this grid groove and just give it some pressure, and look at that, it's scored for me. So if you don't happen to have that Mr. Score, I just wanted to show that. So I'm going to continue to score all these pieces. I'm also going to glue down this onto the framed piece for the front, and then I'm also going to then cut out all my circles, lining them up, and I'll be back to show everything. Okay, so from Evolution 262, I am going to stamp on the Distress Specialty Stamping paper. I'm going to stamp 2 in the exact same location, so then that way when I line them in the card, I know that both of them are going to be placed along this edge in exactly the same spot. So I'm just inking, and I'm using Archival black soot and just inking this up really well. And this is going to take a couple stamps, mainly because, you know, this is such a big rubbered surface that, you know, to get that first perfect stamp, you know, happens, but just to be sure for, you know, plus actually my ink pad's looking like it needs to be re-inked. So it's not as juicy as I usually like them, which helps in this case too. So instead of so much friction against the pad, it's juiced up and inking that really well. So I'm actually going to do that and then come right back. Okay, so I've re-inked it. It's got, with my black soot. Oh yeah, that's making a difference. Yeah, see that? Okay. So maybe just a little bit more for the hat. Okay, there we go. Oh, and something was on there which is causing that. So let me get that little edge re-inked too. Didn't notice that before. This should take care of it. There we go. Okay. I can hear it kind of sticking, so I know I've got quite a bit of ink on there. So let's let that dry, and then like I said, I'm going to push this right into that corner. So it's going to stamp in the exact same... Oh, now this piece is... I don't know what that is. Now this is going to stamp in the exact same spot as that first one. Oh, I think it's on the magnet. Yep. See what a difference the inked up pad makes though on that first run? So if you're having issues with images not coming out, make sure that your ink pad is nice and juicy. Okay, I'm good with that one. Maybe, you know what? I think I may wipe away. It looks like I might be getting too loaded up. So I'm just going to wipe it away to make sure that there's no debris on my stamp. And then go again. Okay, good with that. Okay, let this dry, and then I'm going to, you don't need to see that, but I'm going to stamp my monster image on one of these extra pieces. Okay, so I've got everything cut out, and I decided to go with the Archways with the Tim Holtz Sizzix Thinlits, and I went with what is this, the 2-inch one, and then cut my stamped images out of you know, the larger one so it can go behind here. And instead of coloring these, I decided to put a layer of distress medium in vintage on there, and I just brushed it on, nothing special. And then this one, which will have the monster or the zombie Oh, just had a coughing fit. Anyway, the one that's going to go in the back that'll be exposed in the inside of the card, I also cut out a piece of the, can you see that, spider web acetate. And so once I put my layer of Collage Medium Vintage on there, then I just laid that on top, and I think that's going to look great. So what I wanted to pop on and show is I've already inked up this one here, but you want to make sure that you're inking, if you're going to, you know, if that's your style and you like the inking, that you're going to want to do it prior. You just want to make sure that you get this inking done in these edges prior to assembly or adding your stamped images, because that way then you don't have to worry about whether you know, it's getting on the image or not. So I've just got some carved pumpkin here, and this is regular distress ink, and I'm just gonna do, you know, use a blending tool, let it slide. And then this craft paper is actually the Dina Wakley craft cardstock. I like the feel and the color of this as a craft stock, and had some, so why not use it, right? So just getting some ink down, not being too fussy about whether it's blended or not, because we're going to add some more too. That'll be good. And I'm doing the orange versus like a dark black, which I will be adding a little bit of black, but I wanted the orange to really stand out against this, you know, the black. So that's that all inked up. And again, I'll have the measurements that I ended up using, you know, so then that way you can use the Tim Holtz cardstock on my blog. So I wanted to take just a little bit of black soot and go right on the, here it is, right on the inside of here, just to give that a nice shadow. So I'm going straight to pad because I don't want it to be oversaturated, and just lightly, just to give it a hint of a shadow. Right, and you can see it there against the white. Just a hint. I want to be careful with this black soot. And just doing the same. I'm not getting it saturated like, you know, if I was to press it to the glass substrate, because that really, you know, grabs a lot of that ink. So this is just a real light touch. See that? Yeah, that looks good. So now I'll just take and start assembling mine. Okay, so we can start assembling this. I've added some of the red tape, you know, that extra sticky, just because this is such a heavy cardstock. So laying it here and eyeballing it. Making sure, you know, all the edges are lined up, and that looks good. Okay, so there's the Z card, and then we're going to attach, and I've got some of the Tape Runner Permanent by Therm-oWeb here, and I'm just going to add all this to here, making sure I'm getting close to these edges. And there we go. So now I'll just take and I'll flatten this out so Line this one up. Actually, this one I'm going to make sure that my inside is lined up because I know those are exact. And there we go. And then so she takes and she says, okay, so this gets pushed into the inside, like so. So now we have our card. And there we go. And so now I'm going to add the images, which... Okay, so we want to add the image, the one that is seen when the card is open. So I'm just going to line it up and double check that's where I want it, and it is. It's got some of the tape runner permanent by Therm-oWeb. I like that, so I'm taking the back, closing it in, rubbing it so it adheres. And that's good. Now, I need to know what this distance is, since I know exactly, you know, that distance, since I stamped them on the, you know, and the same with the platform. Okay, so now if I take and open my card, there we go. See, with this size, running into a little bit of issues because I had to trim it so then when it's open all the way, you don't see it. But when we open it all the way, it's not showing. So I'm bound and determined to get this to work. And I think I have it figured out now. I had gotten rid of this extended little piece here, so by recreasing, and I'll just cover this up eventually, I think with washi tape or something, but by extending, that way it gave this enough pad or, you know, surface to be able to add the stamp onto. So, with that said, let's go on to the next step, which is adding the image here. And let's see, I'm just going to slide him in, being careful because there is the adhesive on there. And I've got a line there so I know whereabouts it needs to be height-wise. So double check. You know what? Why am I being so difficult? Got my line. And looks like it's about centered. And then just press. Oh. I am just really struggling with this. Oh my. So now how do I get it to get stuck on there? Oh, because it's not extended. Okay, so hold on. We have to have it like this. Okay. Well, if you're still here, thank you for sticking this out with me. Okay, fingers crossed. So that's all folded. We're going with this longer, oh, see, he's too big. Let's see. Okay, if I go, you know, I should have just followed all her dimensions. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Hey! Yeah, oops, see? Nope, because you can see. All right, this is real time. Let's try one more time. We're going to figure this out. Okay, so we need it to be the long so we don't see it here. All right. And if I open the card, it's sliding over to there, and that's right. So then let's get him added, I guess really just how I was kind of doing it. Because let me get him to that line that I said. Okay, so that's about on the line, and he's about centered, so let's stick him down like this. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. And if we open it up, it's got to be the extended, oh, yep, see? Okay, let me just cut this part off then. So it really just must be the placement of the windows and then the side of your image, which I guess I didn't really think played a factor, but it does, obviously. Okay, so let's try again. All right, so if I open it up, there we go. You can see a little bit here, but you know what? I think I'll just cover that. You know what? We'll just paint it black, and it'll look okay, I think. So there we go. Okay, so it's all worked out now, and I painted the little strip black that's going to show, and I'm just going to glue down. I glued the hat on him, and then I'm just going to glue the zombie down. And you know, I really considered just trashing this video and starting totally brand new, but you know, the truth is, I think especially when, you know, we're trying something for the first time, or we have something in mind and it's just not working, I think it's just, you know, it's real, and it happens where, you know, the projects don't, you know, give us a little bit of trouble, or you know, maybe we have to rework something, but so yeah, I mean, it happens to all of us, really. You just keep on working it and keep on trying, and you know, my just proof that, you know, my projects don't always go as planned. So alright, so there we go. And I reinforced that first fold. That was an accident. So let's see what we got here. So there, this is going to flip in here. I'll hold it, and then there we go. So pretty fun, you know. There, and then the Halloween version. So let's finish decorating this up with just some details. I'm going to take and just trim these couple of areas that didn't quite line up, and we'll be back to finish this up. Okay, so here we are so far. So I took the mixed media Halloween number 2 and die cut it out of the black shattered paper that I had left over, and then flipped it over, glued it down, then just ran a stitch, you know, just a stitch using, what is that like jean thread for when you repair jeans. I kind of liked it. It wasn't quite orange, but it wasn't the typical black either. And so I'm going to put this there, I believe. Let's just throw a bit of distress on there, distress collage medium. And so this is going to take care of that little oops with my fold. And I'm kind of lining it up, yes, to see, you know, some still here, but also my bigger concern is this corner here, just because it kind of grabs your eye, I think, more than up here. And then here I stamped on a piece of the scrap craft, one of the sayings from the zombies, always be yourself, and then I embossed it, which is clear. I stamped in Archival, then clear embossed, and then on the inside then, unless you can be a zombie. I'm not getting all fancy in here because I think this is a nice place to put sentiments, or yeah, I really want him to stand out more than decorating everything else. So here I'm just going to glue this down in about the same spot as the inside sentiment. And where's my jar here? So kind of looks good right about there. I think the craft from, you know, the craft from the sentiment is nice getting pulled out here. And then also then I've got the brushes, because I really can't get in here with the pads or the blending tool. So for me, one of the distress brushes is going to add just a nice little, you know, hue in there, or add just to break this up a little bit. So I'm just gonna, and this really gives like a different effect. It's you don't have these brushes, they're pretty cool. I only have a couple of them because I don't know if I really use them that often, but when you need them, they really just add a nice look. So there we go. Just broke that up a little bit, made it not look so new. Maybe even a couple in here. And I'm liking that. I also just took a piece of the paper and cut out the arch for the inside, so it wasn't so much craft paper. So I think that's really fun. Unless you can be a zombie. Always be yourself, unless you can be a zombie. And I'm going to call this card done.